people. South Korea's military has confirmed the defection of a North Korean who crossed the de facto Western maritime border last month. Now, the army said the defector was now in the south.
It's over! He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So, a good performance from both teams
Hello,
here.
welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. On the show today, England men's cricket team break records while trolls break the internet, mocking the latest round of humiliation as Pakistan stumble to a defeat despite preparing a flat track. Let's hope Bangladesh cricket star Shakib Al Hasan's apology does not fall flat. The new government forces him to pick a stance and apologize to be given security for his farewell test at Mirpur. And AFC, the Asian Football Confederation, is playing favourites. Mohun Bagan was removed from the tournament for refusing to travel to Iran during the ongoing war in West Asia, with no alternate venues provided, whereas Al Nassr's game has been asked to shift out upon request. Is there a bias against India here? More on this in the show, but first a look at the headlines. Starting with cricket, Indian men's team captain Rohit Sharma could miss one test match against Australia in the Babar Azam Trophy series later this year. Reports say it is due to personal reasons. The BCCI has been reportedly briefed about the matter. If Rohit Sharma is unavailable, Abhimanyu Easwaran could step in as opening bat. Australia host India for a 5-match home series starting November 22nd. Over in the Women's T20 World Cup, West Indies beat Bangladesh by 8 wickets in a Group B encounter. Off-spinner Karishma Ramharak was pivotal in the win. Her figures of 4 for 17 helped restrict Bangladesh to a total of 103. Captain Hayley Matthews led West Indies' batting charge with 34 runs. In football and the Nations League, France thrashed Israel 4-1 in a group stage game in Budapest. Despite Mbappe's absence, the French side looked solid. Eduardo Camavinga, Christopher Nkunku, Matteo Guendouzi and Bradley Barcola. They were all the goal scorers in the day. France are now second in the group with 6 points. Over in the South American World Cup qualifiers, Brazil got back to winning ways with a 2-1 win over Chile. Luis Enrique's late winner sealed the match for Brazil. In another game, Argentina settled for a 1-1 draw against Venezuela in Lionel Messi's comeback game. Nicolas Otamendi put Argentina ahead, but Solomon Rondon levelled the match. Despite the draw, though, Argentina still at the top of the table. And in tennis, Aryna Sabalenka is set to take over as world number 1 from Iga Swiatek. This thanks to her win over world number 35 Yulia Putintseva 1-6, 6-4, 6-love to make it to Wuhan Open quarterfinals. And the horrible joke is now complete. Pakistan crumbled to a defeat by an innings and 47 runs in Multan to an England side who absolutely ran riot. Pakistan were dismissed with within a session to add another chapter to an already horrific saga. The pitch, of course, was the one that came under heavy scrutiny. It was the flattest of tracks, leaving no room for a contest between bat and ball. Now, one point is this is a sure shot way of dulling a format that is already facing threat from its younger, pacier, more glamorous siblings in T20 and ODI formats. Second, of course, it only exposed how weak and vulnerable the Pakistan squad out there was. They were completely outplayed by an English squad that was more clinical and bold. Records tumbled as England kept batting and piling on the agony, and confident that they will force a result in their favour. The contrast was stark. Pakistani batters couldn't last a whole day 5 to try and save that test. Former PCB chief Ramiz Raja, of course, slammed the choice of pitch as the reason for the defeat.
I'm sure bowlers will be questioning the quality of this track. You start questioning why such a surface was provided and why are we playing on such a surface at home?
Well, that was not all. In fact, just before day 5, there were a lot of attack already coming in for the Pakistani cricketers. some former Pakistan players were out and about criticizing the batters for a shoddy display and not really setting it up well for them. That showed no coordination and a lack of intent.
Irrespective of provided conditions at Multan Stadium, England team is on driving seat due to positive intent and better game plans. On same pitch, if batting equal number of overs, England team will have 175 plus runs to play for win.
Of course, how far can fans be? The fans were, of course, not too far behind. The test began with PCB being trolled for putting up a very poor pitch. But as the test progressed, all anger got directed towards the cricketers for not really showing up and not putting up a bit, even a tough fight, and succumbing to the England charge instead. Can't help but smile seeing some of those memes out there. Trust a Pakistan cricket fan to truly show that mirror up there and hold up that mirror to the Pakistan cricket team. They've indeed struck a new low. In all seriousness, when the atmosphere in the dressing room is not right, that just spills out onto the cricket field, onto any sporting field. Winning is a habit, and it forms in those dressing rooms outside the ground. It forms when you're enjoying your game and you play to win. Pakistan is playing to survive, to just pull through the day. The most experienced batters let the country down, like Babar Azam. Stepping down from captaincy and the turmoil within the cricketing system there is clearly affecting the team and his own performance. The PCB, instead of really strategizing, talking to people and getting the right backing for his team, is organizing camps. Once it was an army camp, a boot camp that got everyone trolling. They asked all the cricketers to be a part of this, and of course that panned out as horribly as this one. Then of course the connection camp, meant to get the team together and plan for a resurrection of Pakistan cricket. That's been the biggest joke, with no results coming out of any of these. Organizing camps isn't the solution. It's trying to set a clean culture, a positive sporting culture with clear roles, clear leadership roles. That's the need of the hour. In fact, there are reports also emerging now of the test captain, Shan Masood, being removed from captaincy position post this series. It's been quite the series defeat. They even lost to Bangladesh just before this, another whitewash. Pakistan is somehow stumbling from one loss to another without any distinct efforts or plans to fix the foundation. And with reports emerging of a possibility of the Champions Trophy being shifted out of the country entirely, not just the finals or the knockouts, but the whole tournament. PCB and Pakistan cricket do not want any more embarrassment at this stage, but can they really get their act together, at least now? One of the many casualties of the political unrest in Bangladesh has been Shakib Al Hasan, the former cricket captain, one of the biggest sportspersons and greatest cricketers to come out of the country. The ouster of the Bangladeshi government severely impacted Shakib Al Hasan too. The once hero, who was hailed for taking Bangladesh cricket to new heights, is being subjected to heavy scrutiny post the political sea change. The latest is that the cricketer was forced to speak on the turmoil that's gripping Bangladesh and issue an apology. That is, if he wished to retire with grace.
I would like to pay my respects to all the students who sacrificed their lives. To those of you who were hurt by my silence during this critical period, I respect your feelings and sincerely apologize. As you know, I will soon be playing my final match. I believe that in this final moment, you will all stand with me. You will all be there to close the story.
So what really happened? Why did it come down to this? Let me give you a bit of a backgrounder in brief. Shakib was named as an accused along with hundreds more in a murder charge in Bangladesh. This was during the political unrest that led to the fall of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Shakib Al Hasan was a member of the parliament. He had won a seat for the Awami League in the elections that he'd contested earlier this year. So obviously there was heavy backlash towards Shakib too, forcing the former captain to announce his retirement from T20 cricket with immediate effect. In fact, the 2025 Champions Trophy, the ODI format, will be his last for Bangladesh. As far as Test cricket goes, Shakib expressed his desire to play his very last Test match in Mirpur during that Bangladesh versus South Africa series that's coming up in front of his home fans. Every athlete, in fact, wants to retire at home where it all began for each of them. Rafael Nadal yesterday announced that the Davis Cup final in November for Spain will be his last, or like how Sachin Tendulkar played his last match in Mumbai, a city that has seen the birth and rise of one of the biggest cricketers in the world. Shakib wants the same, a last hurrah in front of the Mirpur crowd, familiar territory, his home, his people. Also, he thought, given the security concerns over the murder investigation, with the situation just as tense back home, Shakib requested confirmation over a safe passage for him and his family to play that test. But because of the outrage in Bangladesh, the current government has put Shakib on the spot, asking him to pick a side so that he can get what he wants, a proper farewell at home.
As a player, we will provide him with the necessary security when he returns to the country. We must remember that Shakib Al Hasan has two identities here, one as a player and another as a politician. I believe he needs to clarify his political stance.
Two things that I can take away from this. Let's look at what the sports advisor Asif Mahmood just said in his statement first. Yes, Shakib is a cricketer and a politician. And while being a cricketer is still a relatively easier profession to tread, being a politician comes at a price. It's highly unpredictable. Cricket is skill-based. You get the results you work for, largely. How well you play guarantees the outcome you will get. Politics is a whole different ball game. Things can turn any time, like it did for former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, which in turn affected Shakib Hasan. Despite bringing glory to his country in his capacity as a cricket captain, Shakib the politician faced the anger and wrath of the people. From the same people he now wishes to bid his farewell in front of. And maybe this political gamble has put him in a position many prominent sportspersons the world over wouldn't find themselves in. Because whatever his coloured past may be, Shakib is one of the best cricketers Bangladesh has ever produced. He made his debut when Bangladesh was still considered challengers, minnows, but not contenders. Now they are a competitive nation in the world of cricket. Shakib is a regular starter in any international T20 league he plays in, be it the Indian Premier League or Australia's Big Bash. But in order to get that farewell, he so wishes, a farewell any sportsperson who's played the sport at the highest level here deserves, Shakib had to do this, to apologise, take a stand, a luxury that is reserved for some legends. Lionel Messi stayed blissfully silent when Argentina was held guilty in the biggest racist row to hit the sport. While the football world raged on, Messi maintained ice-cold silence, a privilege. He could get away without making any compromising statements. Not forced to make any either. This isn't to compare the stature of these athletes, but just how unfortunate this turns out to be for one of the biggest sporting heroes that Bangladesh has produced. Yes, Shakib chose to enter politics. He chose this duality, and maybe he's paying the price for it now. His decision to apologize also proves how much he wants to call time on his career in front of his home crowd. If Shakib does get to play his last test in Mirpur, at least, and truly, he at least deserves that send-off. Maybe the country's cricket fans can make up for what their government failed to do in their eyes, because sport, more so cricket, has still united the nation. And a true character of the game deserves a characteristic farewell. The military operation in West Asia has not only derailed the football calendar, but has also caused the sport itself to come to a standstill in some cities. It has been one of the many casualties of war. And obviously, security concerns means the clamour for neutral venues so that the sport can go on wherever possible. Now, while this is the right thing to do, neutral venues apparently is a privilege that only certain clubs and countries enjoy. And that list surely doesn't include India. Let me explain. The latest turn of events, the Asian Football Confederation or the AFC may come under fire for showing double standards. The upcoming World Cup qualifier match between Iran and Qatar, which was scheduled to take place in Iran on the 15th of October, has been moved to Dubai. The AFC said the decision was taken after consulting FIFA and relevant stakeholders. The right approach and resolution, yes. There is a rising concern of an all-out war between Iran and Israel following Iran's strikes. So clearly, the AFC is aware that Iran isn't the safest place to host a football match in currently. But I guess the honor of a neutral venue is only reserved as an option for few. Earlier this week, Indian club Mohun Bagan was scheduled to play a Champions League 2 game against Iranian club Tractor SC. The club too expressed multiple concerns, Mohun Bagan, of this fixture going ahead as planned. It was in fact slotted in around the time that the Hezbollah leader had been killed and just after Iran attacked Israel. Mohun Bagan wanted AFC to either reschedule that game or move the venue. A simple request, a justified ask. But what did AFC do? Despite Mohun Bagan's appeal, AFC was unmoved. Despite tensions around the region running high, keeping their players' safety in mind was Mohun Bagan's primary concern. And so with AFC not budging, the Indian club didn't travel for the game, which led to this. AFC decided to go ahead with their ruling and remove the club from the competition. Yes, rules are meant to be adhered to, but this is war we are talking about. Unprecedented circumstances. But the same AFC understood the security concerns for the Iran versus Qatar match just days later. The same governing body didn't think it was unsafe for Mohun Bagan players to travel to Iran just days apart. So when AFC decided to shift Iran's match to Dubai, fans came out and slammed AFC for their biased decision-making. The only benefit of the doubt that can work in AFC's favour is the fact that Mohun Bagan and Tractor SC fixture was still a club game. It's not an international fixture, so it's solely AFC's jurisdiction. On the other hand, Qatar match involved two national sides competing for a place in a World Cup. So maybe FIFA's influence on that decision was higher. But if that reasoning alone were true, what about this? Reports say AFC also decided to move another match to a neutral venue. This one being the Asian Champions League game between Saudi club Al Nassr and Iranian club Istiqlal. This after Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr expressed security concerns of travelling to Iran. So AFC has now reportedly written a letter to Istiqlal to move the match to a neutral venue. Mohun Bagan are furious. So clearly, when the matter concerned a big star like Cristiano Ronaldo, the AFC not only intervened on the matter, but also were swift in their decision-making. Furthermore, relevant AFC committees have not yet answered Mohun Bagan's appeal over AFC's decision. What makes this a not-so-level playing field, of course, is the lack of Indian representation in that AFC decision-making panel. But there is a strong representation for Iran. One of the four vice presidents, Mehdi Taj, is an Iranian national, so clearly some weight to throw behind their own country. But if we look at just these two cases alone, you cannot really miss the biased approach towards Iran. Everyone can clearly sense the unfair approach as far as India is concerned. Because the biggest distress is regarding the safety and the well-being of players. They clearly prioritized a football icon like Cristiano Ronaldo and his club over India and their oldest club, Mohun Bagan. They clearly viewed this from different lens. Is this double standards, or do you see fair judgment delivered? Time for Last Serve. It's an offbeat sport we bring to you today. This is Norway's own extreme sport, death diving. In a world record attempt, a French diver, Combe Girardot, plunged to 144 feet. Take a look. That wraps it up here on Firstpost today. Have a happy weekend. I'll see you again on the other side. Take care.
From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
Kamala, you're fired.
I say, bring it on.